We're going to start sitting. So welcome to class. Welcome, welcome. We're going to come into a cross-leg position. When I say crest logs, what's that? Crossed legs. I don't mean feet in towards the pelvis like this. I want you to come into more of a Sukhasana position. So the heels are underneath the knees. This will give you more stretch into the glute muscles, in particular the glute medius muscles, which can get quite tight, especially in these kind of tense, universally tense times. You can, all around the root chakra, it can really grip in to help you feel more secure. But what actually happens is you end up with lower back pain. So we just want those heels lined up under the knees as best you can. If you need to take your block to sit on that, if you think that will help, then do that. Flex the feet, so a little dorsiflexion. So this will be toes pointing forwards. And then from here, we're just going to slide the hands forwards and fold over the legs. Let the chin draw in towards the chest. Welcome if you've just joined. Welcome, welcome. Shoulders softening down. Good. Take a deep breath in here. So deep inhale, feel the stretch across the back as you breathe in. And a breath out. And then from there, just take your time as you come all the way back up. So hopefully you felt that a little more through the underside of the hips, as opposed to having the feet in close to the pelvis when you have the legs crossed. And then just changing sides from there. So other foot in front now. Again, we've got the heels just aligned underneath the knees, toes pointing forwards. Breath in, exhale to fold over the legs. Just take your time. So as you breathe out, imagine you're softening into the posture. Back of the neck again nice and long. So the whole spine is in a little bit of flexion. The whole spine. We're just curling over the legs. Welcome. Good. Nice deep breath in and out. And then take your time as you come all the way back up, just taking the hands to the floor behind you now. We'll press into the fingertips, lift the heart, let the shoulders draw back and down, lifting the chin away from the chest as well. So those of you that just joined, I mentioned the class is going to be focusing on the hips. We're going to do some stretching of the hips, but also some strengthening of the hips as well. Okay, and then release from here. Placing the feet flat to the floor. Now take the feet at least hip width distance apart. Press the hands into the floor behind you. You can have the fingers pointing however you wish. I like to have them pointing towards the hips, get a nice stretch that way. You can turn them out if you prefer. And then pressing down into the hands as you take the hips up. So exhaling to lift. And inhale, dropping it down. Exhale again to lift. I knew that would happen. The doorbell's just gone. Inhale down. Exhale again to lift. I've ordered some lighting for these videos. I bet it's that. Good. Slowly down. All right. And then again, exhale, lifting up. This time, lift up into your bridge. Keep it there. Keep the gaze forwards if you can. So the back of the neck is nice and long. And I want you to have the hips high enough that the glute muscles are working. Glute muscles working. Holding it there. Deep breath in. Exhale, release down. Stretch the legs out in front. Folding over the legs now. Chin towards the chest. Let the shoulders just soften down from there as well. Good. So now we're stretching through the back of the pelvis as we fold forwards. Okay, let's take a breath in now, coming all the way up. Good, just bringing the right leg back towards you. Hug the leg in. I've noticed on the replays it shows it in reverse, so this will look like my left leg now, but I've got my right leg back towards me. Just wrapping from there, left arm around the right leg, taking the other hand to the floor behind. Breath in, and then as you exhale, gently twist. So obviously here increasing the rotation of the spine, in particular the thoracic spine. But as we hug the leg in, you get a real nice gentle stretch through the outer thigh, outer hip, so into the IT band, into the glute minimus and medius here as well. So it's a real nice one to do before you do some work on the hips. Okay, and then just gently release from there. Let's change sides. I'll just swing around so I don't have my back to you. So again, just wrapping right arm around left leg, other hand to the floor behind you, shoulders drawing back and down, chin just level to the floor. Again, just taking a slow, deep inhale, slow, deep exhale as you turn. It looks so nice today here in the UK. The leaves are really starting to drop now and change colour. I'm looking at a whole load of yellow leaves out in my garden right now. Best time of year. Okay, coming back to centre. Coming onto hands and knees now, into a box position. Okay, we're going to come up into cat stretch, but we're going to really work into that upper back by coming up onto the fingertips. I want you to exhale as you curl up and really pull the navel into the spine as well. And as you breathe out, imagine you're breathing out through those back ribs. Okay, let's go. Breath in, press onto the fingertips, exhale to curl up. Really pull that navel into spine, drawing the chin in, tailbone drawing down. And then releasing down from there. Inhale, exhale again, curling up through the spine. Again, head relaxing down. Really try and draw the shoulder blades away from one another. So that's called a protraction of the shoulders. Inhale again, releasing down. Just going to a very slight extension on the spine. Let's try it one more time. Again, rolling up. And releasing down from there. Good. Okay. You can either keep the hands like this or from there have the hands flat to the ground, whatever you prefer. We're going to work into the side of the hip a little bit now with some abduction. Okay. If any of you remember Jane Fonda's exercise videos, you will recognise this. Okay. Breath in. I should have been watching kids programs as a kid, but I wasn't. I was watching Jane Fonda. Okay, so from here, we're just going to take the leg out to the side. So the knee is coming up in line with the hip or thereabouts. And then drawing the leg back in. And then again, taking it out. So what we're doing here, keep it going. And I want you to keep the upper body as stable as possible. Shoulders, hopefully you didn't hear that click. I did say I've just been to the osteopath, so I'm going to have things moving around for about an hour. Okay, so from here, as you take the leg out, what I want you to feel is a tightening, or it's a concentric muscle contraction in the outer left hip. So we are waking up the smaller muscles, the glute minimus and medius. We're waking those up, getting them to fire up. Good. Now put dorsiflexion in that left foot. So you're pushing into the heel. And as I take the leg out, the toes are pointing towards you. That's going to just engage more muscles in the leg. Good, let's try one more. You're going to feel that right hip firing up a little bit now as it works to stabilise you. And then take the left leg straight back, balancing here. Hips again nice and level. I want you to reach away with the right arm now. Back of the neck nice and long, hips nice and level. Keeping the shoulders level as well. And if you tune into your body, you're going to feel your body wants to move a little bit, because obviously you're balancing now. And just see what muscles start to switch on to stabilise you. Hopefully it's a few of your abdominal muscles, the glutes as well. I feel my obliques working. And then bringing hand and knee back down. Okay. Drop it back into child's pose. Just let the hips drop back. I prefer to do child's pose with the legs together, but you can take the knees wide if you wish. I find it gives a bit more support to the lower back. Reaching the arms forwards now. Just let the head release down. Have a real good stretch there. Welcome if you've just joined. Nice to see you. Coming back now onto all fours. We'll do the same on the right leg. So just tune in and see if you can feel a little difference on one hip to the other. I can feel like my left hip is a bit more enlivened. I feel like there's more blood in it at the moment. Okay, so let's see if we can get that right leg feeling the same now, that right hip. So again, just working the core as well to keep everything nice and stable as you work through the movement. So from here now, breath in and then taking the right leg out. You may find it's a little different one side to the other. I know, for example, I've got a much more mobile left hip than right. So I know right hip's not going to come up, right leg rather is not going to come up quite so high. That is from many years teaching, doing demonstrations on my left side and not doing the same on my right side, because then I would go around and adjust people. So those of you that teach, just be mindful of little things like that. They really add up in your body, and years later they'll start showing up in your body as imbalances. So I'm working really hard at the moment to try and balance that out. Okay, so keep it going. Now I want you to press into that right heel. So my right toe's now pointing towards you as I take the leg out. Much harder to stabilise on this side, I find. Good. And as you take the leg out, again, I want you to really draw the navel into the spine to help stabilise through the lower back. Good. You're going to start to feel that left glute muscle working now as it helps to hold the pelvis in place. Okay, last one. And now reaching the left leg back, pushing into the heel, holding it there. Balancing, reaching away with the left leg. So any kind of balancing work like this is core work. Yes, you don't have to do ab curls to work your core. In fact, ab curls aren't even that great. They isolate the rectus abdominis, but not much else. Okay, and then bringing hand and knee back down. Let's press back into downward dog now. We'll give those glutes a stretch. So pressing up and back. Neck nice and relaxed, heels sinking down towards the floor. Nice deep breath in. And then we'll come up to standing. So let's come into Uttanasana first. So just into a forward fold. Folding over the legs. Back of the neck is nice and long. And then take your time as you roll up. Feel free to bend the knees if you wish. It's a little easier on the lower back when you do that. And then rolling back and down through the spine from there. Okay, good. Let's just come into Tadasana. So you can bring the legs all the way together if you wish. I find it more comfortable to have the feet apart a little. Turn my heat off. And then from here, just check you've got the pelvis as neutral as you can. So everyone will have a different version of neutral because we're all different. I know for me, when I draw the front ribs in and I get a sense the tailbone is drawing down, that's my neutral. So just see what you can do. We don't want to feel pressure on the back, and we don't want to feel like the pelvis is tipping forwards too much. So just think of that nice long plumb line that we've all got. So just bringing it back towards that plumb line. Okay. Good. All right, take 2 breaths there. And then when you're ready, just take hold of your block and do a little strengthening work for the hip now. I'm not sure where I got this idea from. I either did it with a physio at some point, or I don't know where I got this idea from, but it's great for strengthening the hips. So from here, I want you to place your foot onto the block and then come on up. So I've got my right foot on the block. And then from here, I'm going to work to just level my hips. Okay, so want your hips nice and level. Now we often move through the day with our hips quite uneven, which isn't good for the sacroiliac joints, which are at the base here. Okay, definitely not good. So we want the hips as level as possible. You want to get used to having them nice and level as well. Okay, so now, because you've got the right foot on the block, I'm leaning a little bit. When you bring the hips level, the left foot will be hovering off the mat. I want you to bend the right knee a little. This is going to help to work the knee joint and the ankle joint, okay? So you can get a little bit of a shake now, because now you can't rely on that lockout of the knee. So you see my leg's doing its own little dance. Elvis would be proud. Okay, from here now I'm going to let this left hip drop. I'm going to dip it down, touch real lightly down with my left foot, and then bring it back up. And then this right knee is staying a little bent. Taking it down and lift. So what I'm doing is I'm working all the muscles around my right hip joint, So we've got loads of ligaments, tendons, smaller muscles around the hip joint, especially where the top of the thigh bone, the femur, goes into the hip socket. There's a lot of little muscles around there that don't really get worked properly in the way that we move these days. And that creates weakness. It then creates over tightness in other muscles. So the glute minimus and medius are examples of those. But what I find is if you really work into those smaller muscles, it might be work that you don't really want to do. It can feel a little bit boring when you want to sweat and get the burn going. But it really helps injury prevention. I've been injury free for some time now. I'm doing quite a lot of this kind of work. Now, when you bring that foot up, I now want you to focus on lifting through the pelvic floor. So we've all got one, men and women. So as you breathe out, I want you to lift that pelvic floor. Inhale down. If you don't know what that feels like, it's basically in between the pubic bones and the anus. You have a pathway of muscles, let's say, okay? Now they actually go all the way under the pelvis. I'm going to be doing a little tutorial about the pelvis a bit later on today actually. It'll be posted on my other account, my pregnancy account, but feel free to check that out. As you exhale and lift, I want you to feel a lift in between those 2 points. So between the anus and the pubic bones, the pubic symphysis joint, about in the centre, yeah? Between those 2 points, a lift. We're going to do one more. Okay, release down, good. Give this right leg a stretch, so just bring the heel up towards the bottom. Let the hips tilt forwards a little, just to work into the hip flexors here, into the psoas muscles. You're going to feel a little bit more in the quad as well as you take that anterior tilt in the pelvis. Hold it there. And relax. Okay, let's do the other side. And this is getting all our muscles fired up in our hip for our standing postures. Okay, which we'll do a few of towards the end. All right, so these videos go so quickly because I'm nattering too much probably. Okay, so hips again, nice and level. All right, bend the left knee a little bit so you can't cheat. And then from there, dipping that right hip down and then drawing it back up. Okay, so it's an inhale on the way down. Exhale, lift, exhale. And again, we're doing this to get the smaller muscles or in the hip joint, in the pelvic floor as well, working. Small muscles respond well to small movements. Big muscles respond well to big movements. You need to do a bit of both to keep your body nice and balanced, okay? It can be really addictive to just do the big movements because you get a release of adrenaline, you get a buzz going, but you end up burning out. That's one thing. You end up burning your joints out as well. Okay, good. Keep it going. Now again, I want you to focus on lifting the pelvic floor. So it's the bandhas, Mula Bandha. Good. When you do that, you might feel Uddiyana Bandha, so the lower abdominal wall draw in as well, which is brilliant. That means they're working together, which they should do. They're a functional unit. Good, a few more. Okay, 3, exhale, lift, 2, and 1. Good, and you might notice if you're very mobile in the hips that was strong on the hip. I find the more mobile I get, or used to be a lot more mobile, that's not my goal anymore, I would find small strength means really burn in the hip because it was hard. But that shows you need to build up some strength in those smaller movements. Good, again, just tipping the pelvis forwards, heel up towards the bottom. Hold it there. It's one of the best stretches you can do if you've been sitting a long time, by the way. I do this at least twice a day. That's why I don't get much done around the house. I'm always stopping to stretch. This is basically the tidiest bit of my house at the moment, this little bit. Okay, I'm relaxing down from there. All right, so let's come now into Virabhadrasana 2. Actually, I've just kicked my block away. You're going to need it because we'll be doing extended side angle as well. We'll be going to the right side first, excuse me. So from Tadasana, hopefully your hips feel really awake now and switched on. Stepping out to either side. Okay, for Warrior 2, when you take the legs nice and wide, Just reach out with the arms, and you just want to check those ankles are lined up under the wrists. For most people, that's round about the right width. Everyone will be slightly different. Lifting the left heel, we're going to turn that away slightly so you've got internal rotation on the back leg. The right foot, we've got external rotation. My right toes now are pointing towards that end of my mat. Reaching out with the arms, again, hips nice and level. You might notice, as soon as you do that external rotation at the hip joint, your hip wants to drop. That's now because there is more space in there. You've moved the top of the femur bone out of the way, the trochanter. Try not to drop the hip though, because it puts pressure into the bursa, your suspension pad in the hip joint. Keep the hips as level as possible. Breath in. Exhale, bending into the right knee. Good. Again, get that tailbone drawing down towards the mat. So you're going to feel an energetic lift through the front of the pelvis, maybe a little physical lift through the pelvic floor too. You want the spine as neutral as possible. Arms reaching out, the shoulders are drawing down, reaching into the fingertips. Good. Now to increase this external rotation in that back leg, I want you to press down through the outer edge of the foot. Good, this will help to strengthen the foot and ankle as well. Keep reaching out with the arms. Hold it there. If you can keep your back fairly neutral as you take the hips lower, then bring the hips lower. If you can't, if you go into a big forward tilt, then just stay where you are. Okay, good. One more breath. Take your time now as you come all the way up. You could keep the arms up if you want to work more strongly, or from there let them rest down as you turn the feet. Okay, so again, we're just doing Virabhadrasana 2 on the other side. Hips again nice and level. Okay, protect that hip joint. I've got one that's quite worn out and I'm not pleased about that, so now I'm very careful about what I do. So turning again, left foot out, right heel lifts and turns away. Reaching out with the arms, breath in, exhale, sinking down. And don't let Instagram fool you. The biggest range of movement you can physically get is not always the best thing, okay? It looks great, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Okay, again, inhale, exhale, maybe take it a little bit lower, but just keep checking in with your alignment. If you end up in a big forward tilt in the pelvis, come up a little bit. Arms reaching out, hold it there. Good, it's a strong posture. If you're doing it well, you're going to really feel that. You're going to feel the heart rate increase. So just see if you can manage that with some good breath work. Well done. One more breath. And then again, take your time to come up, releasing the arms down. We're going to bring the feet together, Tadasana, or if you prefer Tadasana, feet a little bit apart, that's cool. We just come back into a neutral position with the hips before we go into our next posture. Coming into side angle pose next. I see this done a lot really badly. I might as well just say it. So I want to break it down a little bit. We've then got like 2 more postures to do, so we're probably going to finish more like 5 past 11 as opposed to 11, okay? All right, but I was saying hello for about 5 minutes to start with anyway. All right, so let's come into extended side angle pose now, Parsvakonasana. Okay, now this is called extended side angle because you should have one long line through the body, one long diagonal angle through the body when you do it, okay? If it's a broken angle, you're not in Parsvakonasana. It's a brilliant posture for working the core because we've got a little rotation. Great posture for stretching and strengthening the hips at the same time. Reaching out with the arms, we've got the same width on the feet as before. I suggest you have a block ready on the inside of your right ankle, just round about there. I have mine on the high end because I find going lower, although I can do it, my hips, they just feel overstretched afterwards. So I'm just going to leave it on my high end, so you do what you feel. Breath in, exhale again, coming down Virabhadrasana 2. Sweet, okay. So to begin, we're going to bring the right forearm down onto the thigh. Don't rest down into it, don't below you. Space through the shoulder joint, and then we're reaching over with the left arm. So the palm of the hand is facing down, yeah? And then we've got a nice long line from the fingertips through to the edge of the foot on that left side. It's not this, it's not this. This is Parsvakonasana, good. Now, if you want to take it lower, you can bring the right hand down onto the block, but don't compromise this nice long line to do that. So if you're taking the hand down, you need to be able to drop the hips lower in order to maintain that line. Okay, if you can't do that, then come up a little bit through the upper body. If you're very long-limbed, you might find you can bring the hand to the floor without a block and maintain the line. So feel free to experiment with that. Good. Now from here, move your right shoulder and right hip forwards a little bit as the left shoulder and hip move back slightly. So there's your core work, little rotation. One more breath. I've never enjoyed talking through this posture. You're way out of breath. Push firmly into the right foot. Now bring yourself up. Bring your block with you. Relax down. Okay, pivot on the feet. It's a fantastic posture for giving you a boost of energy. So if you're feeling a bit neggy today, a bit negative or a bit low energy, fantastic posture just to shake that up. When you're low energy, it doesn't mean you don't have energy. It means it's just a bit dormant quite often. So you just got to shake it up. Okay, reach out with the arms. Turning again the right heel away a little. I've got my left foot turned out. So internal, external rotation on the pelvis. Reach out, breath in. Exhale to bend into the front leg. Left leg in this case. I'm pressing down real strongly into that back foot. So now I've got more equal work through the legs. And then we're turning the arms. So forearm down to thigh. Right arm comes over. So we've got a internal rotation at the shoulder joint. And then palm comes over from there, okay? So I always like to kind of set myself in this position first, check my alignment before I go into it further. Okay, so again, you could bring that left hand down if you wish, or stay where you are. So I can see now I've broken my line a little bit, so I'm going to drop my hips a little bit more to get that nice line again. That's it. Good. Now it comes the core work. So from here, bring that right hip, right shoulder back a little, so you get a little rotation through the torso. Left hip, left shoulder moves forward. It's just very slight, but it makes a difference. Good. All right, one more breath here. Pressing firmly now into the left leg. Take your time to come all the way up. Woo! Toes pointing forward, relax the arms, and brings the legs together. Okay, well done. To balance that out, we're going to take our block now and place that between the thighs. So we've done a big stretch on the adductors, the thighs, and now we're going to work them just to, so they don't remain overstretched, okay? So just pressing onto the block. I'm going to come into chair pose. So as you've got a block between the legs, you'll need your feet apart a little bit too, so the tracking of the main lower body joints stay in line, yeah? Hip sockets, knees, ankles. From here now, keep pressing onto the block, drive the hips back, reach the arms forward. I like my arms parallel because it takes the dip out of my back, less pressure, but if you want to take the arms higher, please feel free. Breath in, exhale to sink. Keep gripping into the block. You might find this helpful as well, just to get the pelvic floor fired up a little bit too. Often when we've got something to squeeze on, such as a yoga block, that really helps to activate the pelvic floor too. One more breath. And then release, coming all the way up from there. Good. Just popping the block down. We'll come down to, we'll come into downward dog from here now. So just hinging from the waist, hinge, 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 walking the hands forwards into our downward dog. Okay, and then just coming into a seated position. Let's come back to our Uttanasana seat. I'm having trouble speaking today. I always go a bit floppy after the osteopath. I went there this morning. Okay, so bringing the right foot back, hug the leg in. Okay, hopefully this will feel a little different now, a little bit more wake in the hip joint than at the beginning when we did the stretch at the beginning of class. Hugging again the leg in with your left arm, right hand to the floor behind you. Breath in, lift, exhale, turn. If you want a bit of a stronger twist, you can of course bring that left arm to the outside of the right thigh, and you might like to even take the right foot over the left leg. That actually feels really nice. Good, nice deep breath in and out. And I used to, whenever I did these seated twists when I first started yoga, which was quite a long time ago, definitely before smartphones, I used to twist as much as I could, and I used to get like strong adjustments and whatnot. What I found later on in life is if you do that too much, it can actually start to wear out the base of the spine, that real big rotation and pushing through resistance. So again, just if you like doing that, just do it sparingly. Don't do it in your everyday practice, which is what I did for a really long time. Less is definitely more sometimes. Okay, coming all the way back round. Left leg, this is our last posture. So again, you can either wrap the arm around, or from there take the arm to the outside of the leg. And just try and move more deeply into it when your body softens. If you try and push the tension, it doesn't really end well, I find. It doesn't end well. Tension is normally there for a reason. It's trying to stop you doing something. Okay, one more breath. And then releasing all the way back round. Okay, for those of you that can stay a bit longer, I'm going to take you through a Shavasana. Whenever you've done work on the hips, it is really good to rest afterwards. I know it's only a short session, but we should still take a little rest afterwards just to let the energy settle down in the hips and throughout the body, okay? If you've got something to put under your knees, that would be ideal, just to take pressure off the lower back. And then from here, we'll just come down. So just about 2 minutes Shavasana, just to let the energy settle in the hips. It's not that we haven't done massive hip openers today, but if you've had a little break from yoga, it's not that unusual to feel a little bit wobbly emotionally later on, but just let whatever's rising up rise up. It needs to come out, or you might feel absolutely fine. Either way. All right, so just taking now a slow deep inhale. Slow deep exhale. Just let the body soften into the mat. Let the shoulders release. Allow the arms just to relax down. Deep inhale. Exhale. Let the hips soften. Notice how different they feel. Neck and shoulders relaxed. Let the jaw soften as well. Let the lower jaw drop away from the upper jaw. Deep inhale and exhale. And then just watch the breath. So again, a slow deep breath in. Slow deep breath out. Watching the breath entering and leaving the body. Of course, if you want to and can, stay here a little bit longer, that's ideal. Otherwise, we're just going to stretch into the fingers and toes, reaching away with the arms and legs. Take a nice full body stretch. As you inhale, just allow that breath in to be your waking breath. Taking your time now to bend the knees and just roll over to one side. And then take your time to come all the way up to sitting. Good. Taking a deep breath in, reaching out and up with the arms. Nice deep inhale. As you exhale, just allowing the hands to come down to the heart. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today, everyone.